I want to fight him, bro, because he been tricking the boxing game for too long. He been tricking the boxing game for too long. He makes look good. He makes look better than what it is. Resume what? What kind of resume he got? He no fucking resume, man. He don't got no resume, man. He don't got no goddamn, no goddamn Sugar Ray Leonard on his resume. He don't got no goddamn Marvin Hagler. He don't got no real deal fighters like that on his shit. He got fights we all knew he was gonna win, man. He got fights he all knew we was gonna win, man. I'm not trying to hear that. I'm not trying to hear none of that.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Yo, the clout chasing is getting deplorable. It's at an all-time high. Keyshawn Davis, Gervonta Davis, what are we really even talking about? Now, I didn't want to have to do this, but y'all made me. Look, at the end of the day, this is an Ego Thoughts video for the record. The boxing game is getting watered down, and I'm here to stop that and bring awareness and bring light to what's really going on. Keyshawn Davis just beat Gustavo Lemos. Now, where he's at in his career, that's a solid win for him. I ain't got no problem with that. The problem I have in the boxing game is the recency bias, and you have through social media, right? And just so many different opinions being available online, you have this insane recency bias that is so over the top. It's not even funny. Like, if a fighter has a bad performance, like let's say not even a bad performance, we'll say Caleb Plant versus Canelo, where okay, he lost his title. After the fight, people are like, retire Caleb Plant, it's over. But then his very next fight, he knocks out a former champion with one punch, Anthony Durrell. So imagine if Caleb Plant would have retired, like the fans said, because he lost to a future Hall of Famer like Canelo. Payday, you'll want payday. I know that. It doesn't make sense. Then he would go on to give David Benavidez a very tough fight where he was winning until he wasn't winning, obviously. And he beat Trevor McCumbee, and he's right back in the mix for another big fight. So again, the point I'm making to expedite this is the fans just say BS. If you have not so strong a performance, they write you off, right? If you look great, then you're the next big thing since Sugar Ray Leonard. And it's this up and down seesaw type of pattern that I've noticed with boxing fans, and it's just corny. And the same is happening with Keyshawn. Bro, Keyshawn's a good fighter. He's developing, but he doesn't really have that many fights. He doesn't really bring nothing crazy to the table at this point, to the point where he should be calling up and, saying the fans want Tank Davis. I don't know what fans he's referring to, but I sure don't really need to see that fight next. I feel like Shakur Stevenson and Tank is more on the menu than that. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my opinion of it. Like, people have to understand boxing is a business and there's stages and steps. A baby doesn't come out the womb running. You gotta crawl. Then from maybe a crawl, you use tables and objects to help you balance yourself and stand up. Once you can stand up, maybe you begin to walk. Maybe you take 2 steps and then fall and have to pick yourself back up. Then you can fully walk. And then you get to the point where you can jog and run and, do a handstand and all this other stuff. But just like a baby, people in this new social media age, they don't want to go, they want to come from the womb to running. And it just really seldom happens like that, right? The other thing is Keyshawn has a different promotional situation, which already creates an additional obstacle, right? Making Tank and Rolly and fights like that, that's easy because they're within the same housing group, you know? They're all PBC in-house fights. So this whole Keyshawn conversation to me is premature and it's pretty stupid. It's not a knock saying he's a bad fighter or whatever, but it just, I'm not seeing it. Now, the bigger issue is not just like, oh, is he ready or not? The issue is I am not going to advocate for no fights when you haven't even cleaned up your side of the street. What do I mean? Errol Spence, when he fought Crawford, he said before the Crawford fight presented itself, he said, I'm going to clean up my side of the street. Meaning PBC has a whole host of options for me that are very good fights that are going to build my career, give me opportunities at belts, you know, establish myself as a brand and put butts in the seats and, you know, just fights and progress. Once that's complete, you have my word, I'm coming for you. That's exactly what Errol Spence did. So these other new fighters, this new generation, they are not Errol Spence because Errol Spence to a T did exactly what he said. He said, hey, start that cat. I'm gonna clean, yes, definitely. I'm gonna clean up my side of the street and then I'm coming for Bud. I want yours too, period. That makes sense, right? And that's exactly what he did. This new generation, new crop of fighters, they don't want to go through Sean Porter's and Mikey Garcia's and Lamont Peterson's, and they don't even want, in Keyshawn's case, he don't even want to fight Kell Brook, right? The Kell Brook being a champion, meaning Keyshawn has never even been a champion, and you think you've never had a 12-round fight, and you think that the stage is set for you to fight Gervonta Davis, and you've never had a 12-round fight. You've never been a champion, never had a 12-round fight. It looks pretty pathetic. The clout chasing is off the hook. And what I've noticed is outside of the PBC, a lot of these companies don't want to build brands. They don't want to take the fighter, you know, the diamond in the rough, and then, you know, polish them up, go through the heat, go through the pressure, and then become a diamond at the end of it. They want to clout chase mostly PBC fighters and, you know, talk their way into the battle in hopes that they could beat Tank. And again, that's just not how it works. It's funny because we see a similar situation in the UFC. Tom Aspinall and John Jones. John Jones is saying like, yo, I've been doing this. I'm a legend. I already have legacy. I'm after big fights. Stipe Miocic is considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest heavyweight champ that the UFC's ever seen. So that's why I'm fighting him Madison Square Garden. I also would be interested in Alex Pereira. Pereira is tearing through the UFC. He's probably one of the hottest fighters and he keeps winning impressively. So he's like, these type of fights motivate me and, you know, ultimately are legacy builder fights. Tom Aspinall hasn't even fought Cyril Gane, you know, or a person like that. He didn't fight Ngannou and he's getting all this praise. What does that really do for me? You have to understand. And John Jones said the same thing. It's a business. So again, you know, at least in that situation with John Jones, you can make the argument that Aspinall is an interim champion. Keyshawn Davis has never been a champion and he's not even ranked. Do you hear me? He's not even ranked in the sanctioning body where Gervonta Davis is a champion. So that is even not like an eye-to-eye exact comparison because Keyshawn's not even ranked in the top guys with the WBA, and that's Tank's body. So to me, I think it looks pathetic. It just shows Tank's greatness that everybody's screaming his name and, you know, begging and screaming for a chance and to get noticed and stuff like that. And it is what it is. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not condoning this, especially when you have a guy like Andy Cruz who beat you 4 times in the amateurs and you're not even really saying much about his name. That's what I want to see. You know, you have to go through the motions, go through the steps. People, it's like these new fighters, they want to raise and they ain't even been past their 90-day probation. You're a new hire. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't work like that. I've worked jobs. I've worked corporate jobs. I worked retail jobs. It does not work like that, where you just get onboarded, you just finish your e-learnings, and you're in your probation period of 90 days, and you want all these perks, and you want the parking spot up close and employee of the month. We don't even know if we're going to keep you after the 90 days. You still have to prove yourself as a worker that is more than temporary. You see what I'm saying? And boxing's no different. And like I said, you got a guy like Andy Cruz beat you 4 times, keeps calling you his son and saying he's your daddy and your father, and you doing all this chirping about Tank Davis. It looks pretty bad. And it's funny because you have the spin doctors and the negative Nancy's, the usual suspects. They're trying so hard because they don't like Tank Davis. So people will make videos every day about Tank Davis, trying to make him look bad. But in the end, you look bad for condoning it. There should be maximum pressure for Keyshawn to fight Andy Cruz. You guys are closer to like fighting each other in terms of where you should be. Andy Cruz needs a big fight. You need a big fight. He beat you. You got a backstory. He beat you 4 times in the amateurs and was breakdancing and pop locking, hitting the usher glide behind you. You guys are closer than Keyshawn and Tank are in terms of closeness into where you're at in your career. Then besides Andy Cruz, Top Rank has some quality fights that could be done. Lomachenko and Keyshawn. Put the world on notice by fighting a Lomachenko. Put the world on notice by fighting Ray Murataya, who's a very good fighter, beat Tevin Farmer. You haven't even fought a 12-rounder nor fought anybody like this within your own infrastructure of Top Rank. Don't tell me nothing about a Gervonta Davis fight, because it's just clout chasing, and you haven't even fought Dennis Baranchuk, and I would favor Keyshawn in that fight because I don't really rank Baranchuk as he's like I'm not gonna say a paper champion, but he's not a champion that I would back. He's not that good to me, right? But again, you fought none of these guys, and you're trying to go to the top of the totem pole. It's cool to aim high, but you got to be realistic. It's just what it is. So there's no one here in this comment section that's going to make more sense than me and talk me off of this ledge that this is just a dumb talking point to even discuss Keyshawn and Gervonta Davis at this point.